Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Happy Thursday to you and your family. We're obviously going to take another look here at Terra Classic and see what Lunc is doing. Now, we're going to look, of course, at some standard stuff, but we're also going to probably reverse these Fibonacci retracement levels, see how much higher it could potentially go if it were to run again. But it's looking overall fairly healthy in the overall sense of things, considering how parabolic Bitcoin had behaved recently. Terra Classic didn't do the same exact thing, which is actually a good sign because it shows independence from Bitcoin in a lot of ways here and kind of shows that we have potential for this to continue to run. I'll explain more about that when I take a look here and we dive deeper into the chart. So if you're new to the channel, just bear this in mind. I love teaching people to trade. I've been trading for over 17 years, teaching as well, almost as long. And I can tell you it's been a very rewarding process for me. Not only do I have a very healthy lifestyle, I get to work with some amazing traders. Check this out. Take a look at our Discord here. Well, first of all, these are some signals that I sent out recently here. In 2 days, we took 54% from Ethereum, profit target 1. That happened yesterday. Terra Classic, Litecoin. We were looking at 2 profit targets there, 58% in 2 days, and as well, we took some near profit on 3 targets for 86%. So really, really awesome situations there for our trade signals. But take a look at some of these trade results here. Look, first of all, SAC with some amazing 75%. I love what this one's doing here. Take a look at this. K71, phenomenal amount of shorts. And yes, you're very welcome. My pleasure to help in that regard. Yes, you're welcome. Because really awesome pickup there as well for Mana, eGold, GMT. I mean, the list kind of goes on here. So again, we were kind of shorting a lot as a community because Bitcoin hit its shelf. And if you've been watching my Bitcoin videos, you'll know that that is essentially the case. And yes, a lot of fun. Anyways, really cool stuff there. Great community. Thanks again for everyone kind of celebrating the positive. Obviously, we have some mistakes that we make along the way. That's just the way it works. But being a good trader is learning from your mistakes and continuing to move on. Speaking of mistakes, there's no mistakes to be made here at Bitget. They are an exchange that I find to be the best in the world, and I can tell you that I've used a lot of exchanges in my time. They allow a $10,000 prize pool every single month for our community, and the trading volume is really half of the qualifying factors and also profit and loss ratio. So just a lot of fun that we have as a community there. And you will need a VPN. Keep that in mind. I partnered recently with ExpressVPN. You get 3 months free with a 12-month plan. So awesome stuff. Check it out down below if you want to benefit. Thank you so much to those, those sponsors essentially for allowing for our community to just be a better place. Because I do this all for my community to make sure that we have just a much better experience. And I'm trying to partner with a lot of other things too as well. We're looking at some ledgers and a handful of other things. So that is awesome stuff. Take a look here at Terra Classic. Here's what we want to do. I want to look at a few things. First of all, we want to acknowledge that we bounced off of 50 on the RSI. A lot of coins are doing this right now because Bitcoin's doing something very similar. However, Bitcoin's over 70 on the RSI, a different story altogether, but on its 4-hour time frame, we're seeing that bounce. This is reflecting on the daily for Terra Classic, which is very, very positive in a lot of ways. While we did lose this this ascending trend rather, we were making higher lows nice and easy. We're still technically making higher lows. So it's mostly still positive, even though we've kind of broken below this trend line. Okay, so that's really awesome. Keep this in mind. We are almost at a MACD divergence here, where we're starting to lose that momentum to the upside, but it's kind of stalled out for the moment with this most recent push upwards today, with I think about a 6% correction. From bottom to top, it's more like 12%, but I think we're up 6 on the day. So what does all that mean? Well, let's see how much higher this could go. First of all, kind of give us perspective, because generally there's a lot of little things we want to factor in. First, quickly, here I want to note, we do have some interesting behavior here where the price is averaging itself out between the 50 and the 200-day SMA. This is a very common characteristic for coins that are starting to take off again. The reason why it's beneficial is because the 50 slowly working its way up, intersecting with a 200 in upward fashion. That is effectively a golden cross. So we have this potential inevitability here of the price action crossing that plane. And I say potential inevitability because we don't know when it's going to happen, but when it does, that it kind of tells us that Terra Classic is breaking bullish. All right. Now, again, that shows us because not a lot of coins have this kind of behavior, that Terra Classic is doing very well, contrary to the rest of the market. Okay. So again, this may not seem like a lot because again, we're only up, if you look from the lowest to the highest point, 43%, where Bitcoin is up somewhere in the range of 20 to 25% overall in the last couple of weeks. It's not that dramatic compared to what it could do, but it's much better in the overall sense of things because it has that sort of independence, you could say. So I don't know. To me, I like coins that kind of have that and that they provide that kind of, that separation. So what I'm doing now, just so you know, because people are always curious about Fibonacci's retracement levels and when to reverse them. Well, to me, the time to reverse it is when you have situations like these where coins are starting to break bullish, we're starting to see some bullish activity. Bear markets, you don't really use it too often, but when things are starting to go sideways and we're starting to see that transition into a potentially bull market, we can definitely see here that there's a lot of room to grow. So, I mean, better case scenario, just say we were to continue the same exact behavior here, we will see somewhere in the range of right about 26,900, so 27,000 is a round number. That could be the potential within the next, month of trading. So if we replicate the same exact behavior here and kind of give us one of these, that could replicate up here to the two level essentially, right? And that would give us a situation where we would have somewhere in the range of right around 24 to 27,000. Now again, I just like to provide that to you so you understand kind of potential of where it could go. We're still a long ways away from that. We got some pretty strong resistances right here at about the 17,800 mark, where the price action you can see is having difficulty crossing this level. Okay, but again, the more often you retest the level, the more likely it is to break. We've seen about 4 or 5 consistent pushes at that level, and I think we're soon to see a push to the upside through that point. But it is nice to see a kind of a bounce off of the range here, that halfway mark on the Fibonacci retracement at 15,700, because that kind of gives us that reaffirmation that we're on the right side of the tracks, and we shouldn't see a price point lower than that. Again, shouldn't is the key word. If Bitcoin retraces further, we might see that reflect here on Terra Classic, but again, there's some independence here as well where it shouldn't have that knee-jerk reaction as strong as others, even though, of course, there was a little bit of a correction here recently. So again, no coin is oblivious or can rise above Bitcoin's corrections. That almost always happens. It's rare for coins to just go parabolic when Bitcoin's struggling. But Bitcoin having a lot of market dominance and the alts increasing concurrently, that's a very, very good sign. Okay, so that just means a lot of money's coming into the market, and that's something we haven't seen in quite a few months. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. 4-hour time frame, we can see we're getting rejected tentatively off the 50 on the RSI. That kind of puts us at this little resistance shelf here, right in the range of about 17,300. So that could be the immediate resistance level the price could reject and come back down. Again, establishing lower highs is the current scenario, so we got to expect that to continue until it doesn't, right? That's what higher highs and higher lows do, or the inverse, of course, in the other direction. You just kind of got to recognize that this is still downtrending. Until we create higher lows, we are still moving down, okay? You got to recognize that. It's an important factor. We can kind of just put some lines out here, if you will, and just kind of see that we're still descending in this kind of trend, right? That's the general concept. But we can see also that there's a potential shift in momentum for the convergence here to the upside. This hasn't converged yet, but it's trying. So we're still a little premature in that sense. That's why you don't just take a trade based on a convergence. You look at everything, right? Big picture is important here. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. In the regard of the 4-hour, we can also see on TD sequential, we came down to a 7 and kind of got a little reset. So it would make sense for us to continue higher from here if we can't establish a higher low at the very least, and then potentially even follow that with a higher high to break above 18,000. We shouldn't expect this to continue higher. We should expect it to go sideways and down until it doesn't. All right. So right now the 4-hour is not extremely beneficial, but you got to keep in mind a lot of coins are exuding a similar behavior. So it's pretty standard. Taking a look at the Ichimoku cloud, we're back up above the cloud. This is a positive, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we're in the clear. Conversion line is above the baseline. Lagging span's kind of free and clear price action, but until we establish higher lows, I'm not convinced this is broken. Okay, so while this is a positive sign, it still doesn't give us that full-on confirmation that we should take a long position. If you do, just make sure you have some tight profit targets and you don't have a situation where you're kind of hoping for the best. Make sure you take a trade based on confirmation. We don't have that just yet. Even though the 1-hour kind of does tell us that we're moving in the right direction, the 4-hour is very well not ideal. Because again, to me, if I were to take a trade, the overall trend, the 1 day and the 4-hour carries a lot more weight. It's a lot more impactful than a 1-hour time frame, right? Because it takes many 1-hour candlesticks to make a 4-hour candlesticks, and so on and so forth, right? So you kind of go with the reliability of the larger time frame first, and then work your way down. So in a swing trader's mentality, it would be best to short in this situation than to long. I'm not telling you to do that, just saying that that's kind of what it's telling us here. On the hourly, of course, perhaps a long might be more considerable if you're considering getting in and out quickly, right? Either way, we're at a 5 on TD sequential on the hourly. We might have another 4 to 6 hours of continuation of the upside before it pulls back. But if we cannot establish higher lows on this next little pullback, then I don't think that we should we should get too excited, right? A lot of this hinges on Bitcoin doing mildly well. Because if we compare Terra Classic with Bitcoin, you can kind of see there's a similarity, but not direct, right? See, Terra Classic went sideways, whereas Bitcoin's kind of going sideways and up. Bitcoin has this little correction when it got rejected off 21,600, and Terra Classic is essentially massively rejected because it's just kind of had this little, descending type of wedge. Okay, so again, lower highs, we need to break that trend. It starts with higher lows. Okay, higher low is the first thing we're looking for. Again, a closure above 18,000 today would also be a fairly good confirmation. I just don't think we're going to see that unless Bitcoin can, do a lot better than it is doing right now. Bitcoin does still look like it wants to digress. I'm not completely sold that we are bullish on Bitcoin yet. Just my personal opinion. All right. Well, hopefully that's made sense to you and it was clear and concise. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to become a better trader, again, cryptocash.tech. All my referral links are down below and in my Discord as well. I do look forward to working with you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And thanks again. We'll see you soon. Take care.